Hello, my name is Isaac Gear, and I am here with
Dr. Butler James, and I am the teaching and learning coach here at Jordan High School.
How was it like growing up, and where did you grow up, if you don't mind me asking?
So I grew up in Chapel Hill, and it was idyllic. So you didn't get away with very much. It was pretty safe to move around, so when we got old enough to be able to go places, you could hang out on Franklin Street, and there were places to go and things to do, and I enjoyed it tremendously.
Kids still do that now. I hear a lot of kids talking about that.
Still ain't a whole lot to do and a whole lot of places to go.
What university did you go to?
So I have been to a couple of schools. I did my undergraduate work at Duke University. It was far enough away from home that I got the experience of being away from home, but it was close enough to home, and I got home often enough that I never got homesick. So that worked out really well. I went to graduate school in Chapel Hill, so I have degrees from UNC Chapel Hill, including my doctorate. My car has the house divided tag with it on it with the Duke and the Carolina, and people always ask me which one is your school, and I say both of them. You don't have to like one or the other. It really is possible to like them both.
Did you always want to become part of the school system, or was there?
No, I never wanted to be a teacher. I really wasn't interested in being a teacher. As a matter of fact, my undergraduate degree is in biochemistry, and I wanted to be a doctor. And my advisor asked me to go visit a friend of hers who taught at a school, who was the principal of a school here in Durham. And I went not realizing that it was a job interview. She was looking for a science teacher. She showed me around the school, and we had a nice conversation, and it was good. And then I went back home. On Monday morning, the director of human resources here in Durham Public Schools called me to say they were offering me a job, and I didn't even know I was interviewing for a job. That was Monday. School opened on Wednesday.
Oh, wow, sounds pretty.
I didn't have a lot of time to think about it. I didn't have a lot of time to change my mind. And once I actually started to teach, I realized how much I liked it. The opportunity to get to hang out and interact with young people. So practical applications of math is how I got interested in teaching math. And once I started teaching math, I realized that there are lots of ways to make math fun and meaningful, and it's valuable to know if you're going to be able to function and live in the real world. You have to understand some math.
So how long were you a teacher before you started doing kind of like, not really behind the scenes work, but almost kind of behind the scenes work?
When I started teaching, I did not have a teaching degree. I had never learned anything about teaching, and I figured it out, but I wanted to be better at it, and I wanted to know more about it. So throughout my entire teaching career, I've continued to educate myself about the science of teaching. I've always looked at best practice, and that's actually what pushed me back to get both a master's and a doctorate in education. My desire to know more and to figure out how not only I could be more effective, but how I could help other people be more effective at it as well.
So what would you say gives you most joy while you're teaching or helping kids?
So as an educator, I think I feel really good when students realize that they can learn things. Because particularly with math, people tend to think I'm either good at math or I'm not. And if I'm not good at math, I don't like it, and I'm not ever going to be able to be successful. So when you can help people see that, oh, this isn't really that complicated, it's not that difficult. I understand the patterns that exist, the structure of mathematics. And once I understand the structure of mathematics and a few patterns, I can apply those things in different ways. So when the light bulb comes on, you see the little light bulb behind you. When the light bulb comes on and you realize, this ain't that deep, this isn't that hard. and that they develop that appreciation and enthusiasm for learning, that's what gives me satisfaction. I think that some of it, a lot of it is school experience, but some of it is just our societal views of things. There are lots of people who are not great readers, but they're not going to admit out loud that they can't read.
Yeah.
And if you tease somebody about not being a good reader, or somebody has to read out loud and they're not very good at it, it really does impact the way they feel about themselves. We don't have the same attitude about math. It's okay if you don't know math, because math is dumb, math is hard, and only certain kinds of people are good at math, which is absolutely not true. People are afraid of things that are hard. If you are an athlete, you like challenging yourself to get better and to develop those skills, and you want to be able to say you're better at this than someone else, or to track your progress. You know this, you play football.
Yeah.
When you're training and you're in the weight room, you have to keep track of your progress in the weight room. You keep track of your speed at your time drills. Your stats are important to you. Max prep. And if you're a musician and you play in an orchestra or a band, you want to be first chair. And it requires that you spend the time practicing and that you develop skills, and you can play the hard pieces of music and you can sight read. So there are other places in life where we don't expect to automatically be the best, that we have to work at it and get better. School, for some things, people expect to be able to do that. For math, we just think that you're automatically good at it. There's a magic gene, and if you have the math gene, you're good at it. And if you don't have the math gene, you won't get it. So encouraging people to understand that it's okay for it to be hard. You can get better, you can learn it, it just requires some practice. And so now it isn't about aptitude. My youngest son had the same experience. He was really smart, but he didn't like being singled out and looking different. And so when he got to middle school, my oldest son knew it, so he didn't even fight it. But my youngest son, I told him that he would be in the advanced math class because that's where he belonged. 7th grade, we had him moved after school started from a regular math class to the advanced math class. And the teacher looked at him funny when he came in. He's like, "Mom, she didn't even give me a desk. She made me sit at a table in the back of the room. And all the other kids asked me why I was in this class." And if he had been a different person, or if we had had a different attitude about it, that would have been enough to discourage him from doing his best, because other people thought he didn't belong. Ironically enough, he ended up being one of the top students in that class. He scored in the 99th percentile on the EOG and the EOC. So it wasn't about aptitude. Like you said, it's about opportunity. Mindset, knowing that you are capable of learning, do a different kind of work. In education, we have this conversation all the time about what it means for things to be equitable. Equal and equitable are not the same thing, because everybody doesn't need the same thing in order to be successful, but everybody can be successful. So if we can give people what they need in order to be successful, that creates the level playing field, not giving everybody the same thing.
See yourself being in DPS or just like school until you retire? Is there anything else that you would want to do?
I do see myself staying in education. I had somebody ask me recently, what else do you want to do with your life? If money was no object, what would you be doing with yourself? And realistically, I am enthusiastic about learning. I think it's important for people to be educated, and it doesn't even have to be the traditional pathways, because one of my current thoughts is that our schools now want to send everyone down the same path. And so everybody's got to take the same classes in order to graduate. Everybody is directed toward this idea of being college ready. Well, not everybody wants to do that. Not everybody is suited for that. I had a kid once who was in all honors and advanced math classes, and he said he wasn't interested in going to college. He wanted to be a diesel mechanic. And he ended up getting a scholarship to go to this diesel mechanic school. And when he graduated at 19, he was making twice as much as we were. Both of my parents were professional drag racers when I was little. So I love drag racing. And we used to go every single solitary year to the drag races in North Carolina. They used to come twice a year, NHRA, not IHRA, but NHRA, the better ones. NHRA would come twice a year to North Carolina. They did a spring national and a winter national. But we used to go to the races all the time.
What would you say your, like a typical day in the life of Miss Dr. Butler James would be?
So one of the really interesting things about my job is that it's not routine. And I have some flexibility in my schedule that allows me to do what needs to be done. My primary responsibility is to work with teachers and to support teachers in understanding what they're supposed to teach and finding good ways to teach it and good resources to teach it. The other part of my job is making sure that we know what those things are and how to support that. And my primary focus is on EOC courses. So I meet with EOC, PLC teams. I get into those classes as much as possible. I am meeting with the district curriculum specialist for those courses and learning as much as I can about the resources that are available to teachers so that I can provide whatever assistance I can. I'm responsible for our benchmark testing. So what I was actually working on when you came in is I'm already creating the plans for our end of year testing, which are going to happen at the end of April.
I have no further questions. Well, thank you.
Oh, no worries.